The number of people that we've met, business owners and non-business owners, all the years we've been doing this, that have more than enough and they don't know what to do with it. They don't really know how to have fun with it from a recreation standpoint.
Sure. Why?
Because they've been so obsessed and so focused on the money.
Right.
And I need more money.
Right.
I need more money.
There's a paradox there. You and I have learned firsthand the paradox of investing in fun. When we invest in fun, we create the energy and the capacity and the experiential wealth to go out and create more wealth. Hey, what's this whole wealth journey podcast thing all about?
It's a podcast for entrepreneurs where we're trying to help them connect the meaning with their money.
Who are you?
Jim Gebhardt.
Oh, I'm Matthew Grishman, and we're a couple of financial guys having a not-so-traditional financial conversation called The Whole Wealth Journey. Here we go.
We are starting another session of The Whole Wealth Journey, and as we start every episode, brother, it's going to start with, brought to you by the letter G.
Oh, Gebhardt?
No.
Grishman?
No.
What G?
Gratitude.
I like it.
What is on the gratitude list today, my brother?
Money. I'm grateful for money.
Cue the money song.
Would you ever imagine coming out of my mouth, I'm grateful for money? Says the man who's had the most toxic relationship with money of any human you've ever met?
Yeah, I would, because of the evolution that you've gone through.
Yeah. Well, remember, I was that guy who used to look at my bank account at the end of the month and wonder, where the hell did all my money go?
Sure. You're a good red-blooded American.
Right. Well, my gratitude is not so much that my boys both chose to move out of the house Mother's Day weekend this year while I was away at a retreat. So Amy was left alone for Mother's Day, which, you know, that's another whole episode we're going to riff on one day. But the fact that both my boys moved out, I now find myself looking at my bank account at the end of the month wondering, where the hell did all this money come from?
Oh, it was their fault.
Oh, I'm blaming them a little.
Sure.
A little for my lack of financial sobriety. But it's a cool feeling. I'm really grateful for the fact that my two boys are out there giving it their best to be on their own. And for the last almost, 5 months now that they've been out there, my phone has not rung, Dad, I need money. And so here I am literally at the end of the month with Amy for the last 5 months now, looking at our bank account going, holy cow.
We should buy something.
We have some extra money and we should probably buy something. Well, I've, lost a couple pounds, so I've been able to refresh the clothes without feeling guilt or shame or overwhelm at there's no money left in my account at the end of the month. So that's
a beautiful thing.
Well, the boys leaving and doing a little bit of redo of the financial plan as a result of that. And now having a little bit more intention with how we allocate some of that surplus at the end of every month.
Yeah, because it's not like you don't have a list of wants.
Right. And there's still some legacy debts that we're
Sure.
paying. And so some of it goes to that. Some of it goes to savings and some of it goes to, what we're doing to really enjoy our lives right now and redefine our relationship as empty nesters. And so we're investing in some experiences that we hadn't been able to invest in when we're taking care of kids.
A new phase and stage of life.
So I'm grateful for money. I'm grateful for financial planning and the fact that financial planning in my life is an ongoing process that doesn't start and end. It starts and stops, but then it starts again. And so it's this continual process that I love, that I get to come back to it and refine it and change it as my life changes and our goals change. So thank you for being my partner in crime, accountability partner, and helping me see clarity on that.
Absolutely.
What are you grateful for?
Well, all of us in the studio today, Ace, yourself, myself, Lindsay, we all have a new friend. And that friend's name is Claude. Claude AI. So I decided...
Santa Claude?
Not Santa Claude. I asked Claude, based on me and my digital footprint, what I should be grateful for today.
That's awesome. Artificially intelligent gratitude brought to you by the man who invented gratitude, Jim Gebhardt.
Why not? Let's have a little exercise in AI. And interestingly enough, some of the things won't surprise our listeners in our tribe.
Or me.
Or you, certainly. But based on the fact that I get the opportunity to help clients discover their why behind their wealth.
Wow.
And what a unique approach it is to focusing on whole wealth and how proud I should be for that.
Wow. Look at Claude with the platitudes today.
And in my role as a CEPA, which is a certified exit planning advisor, how I get to help business owners navigate one of the most significant transitions in their lives. So it's obviously reading my LinkedIn,
Everything.
my website, listening to the podcast. I mean, I could have given it a much longer prompt, but just kind of fun to have it reflect back some of the things that I swim in the water every day of and I forget that I see.
That's fantastic.
So sometimes the gratitude can be so abundantly obvious, you step right over it.
Sure.
And we go through this exercise with clients every single time we're on a Zoom or they come into the office. And over time, they are prepared. Often they'll be like, I was thinking about my gratitude coming into the office today because I knew you were going to ask me.
Yes.
Right? Well, sometimes it can just be the most simplest of things.
Yes.
Right?
Most often, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Are you, and I don't know if we've ever talked about this. Do you have any little circles like gratitude text messages with any friends or people? Do you do any of that?
I don't have any friends.
Oh, good. Well, good. Then all mine. I've always
And
wanted to all to myself.
I've got a flip phone.
Oh,
so
perfect.
I don't.
So texting takes 20 minutes for you to say hi.
It does. And I usually misspell it.
Fantastic.
HY.
Perfect. I have 2 different small groups that I do gratitude texts with in the morning.
I'm usually reading or listening to a podcast while you're gratituding.
Okay, there you go. I prefer to gratitude, so that's okay. And what I find in those gratitude circles for the people in my groups, it always is the basics. And it's generally the same thing every day, and that's okay. Right? Grateful to have this day. Grateful to be awake. Grateful for food. Grateful for the people in my life. Sometimes the most effective gratitude is just the simple, basic needs that we have abundance in our lives
It
today.
is very grounding.
Yes.
When you are in the financial services industry and you learn how to live an East Coast life on the West Coast and you're up early every day,
Yes.
you know, my butt used to be in the seat at 6 a.m. And I got plenty of buddies that their butts are in the seats at 5 a.m. on the West Coast. You build a little bit of an annoyance to that over time,
Sure.
and you kind of repel it, but now I'm back to it. Now, my butt's not in the seat at 6 a.m.
I was gonna say,
at the Gebhardt Group office.
You're putting the suit on at 6 a.m. every day and getting in front of the Bloomberg machine?
The French cuffs and the whole thing.
Is that what you're doing?
I enjoy my quiet time at home now
Attaboy.
instead.
There you go.
And I was reading, another little thing that I've learned is I like to read in the dark. And I take out my flip phone and I turn on the flashlight.
What are you, a bat?
Clearly, I'm kidding.
You're a bat.
I turn on the flashlight on my phone, and I love to just sit there in the quiet and the dark and read whatever I'm reading in total isolation. I don't know if it's like a sensory deprivation thing but I really, really
I love
like
that.
it.
I love that.
I really like it.
What a great idea.
I have my glass of room temperature water.
Attaboy.
I sip away at that. I try not to think of the dishwasher and that needs to be unloaded or, whatever little chore I'm going to try to help the family with before I get rolling.
There's a who for that.
But yeah, some of those who's are me. And it can be abundantly simple. And that's beautiful that you have 2 different groups of friends that you do that with.
There's a reason. Thank you. There's a reason why we're going a little deeper on gratitude, the explanation, and why it's so important. Because it's...
Oprah's on the show today?
Oh, come on. You just gave it away.
Oh.
No,
Sorry.
not today. Maybe the next episode.
Okay.
The reason we're starting with an abundance of gratitude is we're getting into a mini series on our financial planning process and how we're helping people with this second leg of the stool, right? We just spent a whole bunch of time, energy, and effort in the personal planning phase of this 3-legged stool of getting prepared for exit. Now we're getting into the financial planning part of it. And the way you and I have learned and co-created the financial planning process starts with a gratitude exercise. And
it does.
And the reason it starts with a gratitude exercise is because we're engaging in conversation that requires our utmost attention and focus. And when people come into the office, when people come into the studio, often there's life happening before and there's life that's going to happen after. And you and I have just learned through our own experience that Nothing creates more presence than the ability to be in the moment with what we've got right now in front of us, releasing us from whatever was with us before we got in the room, than gratitude. It's become a tool in our financial planning universe.
There's also an actual chemical reaction that happens in the body with one of my favorite words I don't get to use very much, which is a biochemical cascade that kind of washes over you when you actually drop into that space of gratitude. Because we don't know if you just got in an argument with your boss or your neighbor or the cat lady, or you got cut off, or all those things being what they are. It's a way to flush all that and get really present, because we want to have meaningful conversations, not just about the money.
Well, when you think about what the 4 stages of the whole wealth journey from the financial planning perspective look like when you come into our world, and there are going to be lots of similarities as we talk about this with other people who do what we do. It's a very similar process. We've custom crafted it in a unique way for that trades-based entrepreneur who's thinking about an exit at some point. So we've customized it to fit that situation. And then, of course, with each person who comes in, it's a blank piece of paper. It's not like there's some, form that they follow, although we're going to get into something called form here. So it's customized per person, but it's really something that should sound familiar, at least in concept, if you've ever been through financial planning process. And what gratitude does is it gets us present for that very first part, which we're going to talk about today, the first of 4 parts. Where
I love all 4 parts, just like
do?
I love all 4 of my children.
Really?
And they're all different.
I was going to say, do you love them the same, or do you love them different?
My children are all different, and all 4 phases of this process are different.
They are.
And I love them all equally.
Equally or different?
No, both. Equally and different.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. And this first stage, this unpack your story, this is really the discovery part of the entire financial planning process, which we've done a little bit through the personal planning side, but now we're getting a little bit more specific when we unpack your financial life. And where we really start with this is a conversation that you and I have learned to develop with people.
Oh, not 2005 when you came to see me? We unpacked a pretty good story.
We did. And then when we looked back at that story a little bit and identified the different components of the story,
nice,
we were able to create our own little acronym that I'm now learning is not necessarily just ours. There are other people in the world who've used this acronym. In fact, I just learned in the real estate industry, they use a similar acronym to have a similar conversation. They call it the Ford conversation, FORD. Family, occupation, recreation, and dreams is what I learned in the real estate world, that's the structure of a conversation they will often have with a new client to really get to know them.
Yeah.
You and I have a similar conversation, but we call it the form conversation.
Yeah.
Where I'm going into a conversation with a new person, how can I really get to understand their story, who they are, where they come from, and their relationship with money is through a form conversation: family, occupation, recreation, money. So
that has been the backbone of a couple thousand conversations that you and I have had.
Unpacking their story.
Unpacking their story. Because we ultimately want to meet the client wherever they're at in their journey with their whole wealth. And I love who doesn't want to talk about their family? 99% of people we've ever met with love to talk about their family.
Well,
not to say there aren't challenges with family.
If I may, so much of where this came from and why we go this deep in family, occupation, recreation, and money is because of something you experienced.
Yes.
On December 12th, 2012.
2012.
12.
Yes.
What happened?
For our listeners today, we'll do the shorter version of the story. I was lying in bed listening to a podcast. I couldn't tell you the podcast, but Beth was to my right. She was falling asleep or asleep already. Our daughter, Emily, was on my left. She was 11. Obviously, we're fast forwarding. She's 25 today, or close to it. And this is back when do you still have a home phone?
No.
Okay. We used to have a home phone, and the kitchen phone was ringing. And I was like, hey, Em, could you go could you go grab the phone? She was the closest to it, and she could go run faster, and I was all snuggled in bed. And by the time she got there, the phone stopped ringing. But she looked at it, and it had the caller ID tag of my parents' phone number. Well,
why would your parents be calling that late at night?
it's 1 o'clock on the East Coast.
Right.
It was about 10 o'clock our time on the West Coast. Uh-oh, something's the matter. So I get up, and Emily knew it too because the look on her face was clear that she got it. Like, it's 1 o'clock where Grammy and Grampy are. So I get up and I go into the kitchen, and no sooner do I sit down at the kitchen table than the phone lights up again, and it's my parents' phone number. So I'm like, okay, somebody's dead. And I brace myself and I answer the phone. And my sister answers.
Right, but you assumed it was one of your parents.
Oh, yeah, somebody's
Right.
dead. Mom's
Mom
dead
or dad.
or dad's dead.
Right.
And all I can hear is my mother crying hysterically in the background. So I immediately assume my dad died. And my sister goes, Jim, honey, I don't know how to say this any other way, but Stevie's dead. Stevie died. And I just went into absolute shock because I had no idea what she just said. Like, I know the words that she said, but I couldn't comprehend what she said. And in a way, I felt a split-second relief that it wasn't my dad, but then I had to process the fact that it was my brother. Like, Cheryl, what are you saying? What, honey, we don't have any real information at this point, but Steve passed away. Well, you want to talk about a shock to the system out of left field, out of nowhere. This is my 56-year-old brother, healthy as a horse,
Unexpected.
Completely unexpected. Right. So fast forward, I get to Syracuse. I'm a financial planner, by the way, but my brother, God bless him, was a complete do-it-yourselfer.
So you met up with the family in Syracuse and then went to his place in Albany, right?
To help fast forward the story, yes. And the whole purpose of that was to try to find his documents, right? None of us had ever had conversation with him about, do you want to be cremated? Do you want to be buried? Do you want a funeral? What do you want?
Well, and you shared with me how important it was that you honor what your brother would have
100%.
wanted, right? So let's go find these documents.
They got to be
find
somewhere.
His will.
He was one of the most organized guys I'd ever met.
Sure.
But he was a do-it-yourselfer. So we go to his place outside of Albany up in Saratoga, and it's my niece and my nephew and my brother-in-law and myself. And I'm like, my brother-in-law and I are going to go in first. And just, he passed away in his home. He passed away in his bed. And we go in, and I got to get to the laptop. I feel this drive to get to the laptop. And there it is, because it's Christmas time. It was December 12th, and the laptop is open. It's plugged in. Of course it is. He was an engineer. He's not going to let the battery run out. And on the right are Christmas cards that are done. On the left are the undone Christmas cards. There's wrapping on, presents that are partially wrapped or completely wrapped on the table.
It's like a total snapshot in time, just kind of frozen in front of you.
Absolutely. And there's a cocktail glass right next to the laptop with, melted ice and whatever was in it. I'm like, well, that's really curious, because there's no way that he would have left that there. He would have cleaned it and put it away, and he's just a super organized guy. I can't get into the laptop, right? Password protected, everything else. So I know he had a safe in the basement, and a number of years before that, he gave me the combination of the safe in one of those, really casual passerby conversation. Hey, just, take this in case. You're never going to need it, but just in case, I want you to have a copy of the combination of the safe. I'm like, okay, I had the combination of the safe. So I go down there. My brother-in-law goes up to the bedroom because, rather unique, my brother had kept a locked filing cabinet next to his bed for as long as I knew him, even when he was married. He was divorced at this point, but a locked filing cabinet next to his bed. So my brother-in-law's like, well, there's probably a pretty good chance it's in there. We don't have the key for it. And then I'm like, well, the other good probability is it's in the safe. So I'm down in the basement trying to, jigger do the combination, but I'm trembling. I'm just so distraught. My mother's here, his daughter's here. It's just, this is some of the heaviest shit I've ever dealt with in my life. And I wasn't the least bit prepared, but here we are, and we're just kind of dealing with it. Well, my brother was a hunter, and he was a marksman in terms of pistol competition, so he kept all the guns in this big safe down in the basement, and he used the safe so many times that the combination was really loose. I couldn't get it to go. But the combination of the lock and how much I was trembling, I couldn't get it to go. I'm sitting on the steps, just trying to collect myself, just trying to breathe, just trying to get centered. And my brother-in-law says, "Hey, Jim, come up here. I got the safe open." Because I could hear him like drilling the lock open.
Oh, the metal filing cabinet.
The metal filing cabinet.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome. He found it. He found the will."
Right.
I go running up the stairs, and there he is. My brother-in-law's standing there, and he hands me this manila envelope. And again, I'm thinking, oh my God, he found it. That's awesome. And I sat down on the edge of the bed where my brother had died, and I opened this up, and it wasn't his will.
What was it?
It was a series of drawings that I had done for him when I was 6 years old. And these were so precious to him that he had kept them in a locked filing cabinet. Next to his bed for 40 years. So there I am trying to process this. And what you come away with is this sense that it's not about the money. There are things that are so much more important. The will didn't matter. The tax returns didn't matter. What mattered to him was this. Were these little fleeting moments when I was a kid. They happened to be around Christmas time. And that's what drives the passion for wanting to help people unpack their story, because they've got one. And for me, the money piece is important, and it is for everybody, but there are so many more things in your life that are much more important than the will or the trust or the documents or the tax return or the brokerage statements, all that stuff. And that's the connection that I have with clients, is that I want to help them with this, because I know full well that there are things much more important in their life than a dumb brokerage statement or a tax return
or a will. Right. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
I know
I haven't done that in a while.
Yeah. My favorite part is when you've shared before that one specific drawing that you've held up to me.
Yeah.
With Santa coming down the chimney.
Yeah.
And the date on that drawing
happens to be December 12th, 1976. When I connected the dots on that,
12/12,
that just, I lost it.
Well, it was serendipity on a whole bunch of levels, because not only did it connect the moments, but it also connected the past moment with the present moment to the future moment. And by future moment, I mean this whole wealth journey of going deep with people and understanding what really matters in their financial story, in their money story, that really goes beyond economics. Because as I think one of the most important things I've ever heard come out of your mouth that came from that experience is that not every financial decision is about economics. There are so many more factors that create financial decisions than just the economic impact.
Just the money.
Right. Which is why financial planning, coupled with personal planning, has become a much deeper conversation than just about what's on your brokerage statement. It starts with this very experience that you've had and helping extract whatever that looks like in the lives of the people we serve. Tell us about your family. What we mean by that is, who are the people that mean the most to you?
Yeah.
That relationship inventory.
Yeah.
right? Helping us understand that connective tissue part of people's lives.
Yeah. And if you're willing to play at that level and have these kinds of conversations and make yourself vulnerable, I can assure you it's very rewarding, because the gift in all of that tragedy was how we've been able to kind of turn it into a very unique planning process, right?
Yes.
Because by that point, I was, how long?
You were 42.
16 years in the trade.
Right.
Right? And, if I'm going to admit it, I was kind of bored. Like, okay, yep, get the slide ruled out. You got this much. You want to live on this much. Okay, yep, you got a good one. Go on next, right? Just got a little rote, got a little stale. And we were able to, kind of take that tragedy and make a gift out of it that I feel pretty proud about.
Yeah. Well, and the good news is Cheryl eventually found the will, right?
That's kind of the crazy, crazy, crazy part later.
Right? Where did she find it?
Months later, like 6 months later.
Yeah.
Right? She's going through a box of old photographs. My brother was a photographer as a hobby. And, this is back in the day when you didn't have 25,000 pictures on your phone. You actually had photographs. And in this case, it was a box of old photographs, because we'd had to clear out his place and sell it and all this. And she's going through and she's looking at old family photos, and she's just reflecting on this one particular picture. I don't remember what the picture was. She would know exactly. And, while she's got it in her left hand, she just reaches in with her right hand to grab the next picture, and she pulls out the will. In a random box of 100 photographs from one of the most organized people I've ever met.
Sure.
It wasn't in any of the places it was supposed to be. It was in a random box with a bunch of pictures.
Well, it just tells you what your brother's values were, kind of like how he ranked his values, and that what did he keep in a locked filing cabinet next to his bed versus what got thrown in a random box of pictures.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
Hand drawings from his baby brother get locked in a cabinet when this financial document that drives the bus on every financial decision once I'm gone is sitting in a random box of pictures.
Yes, sir.
Finding that out about somebody is so important. I'm grateful that you got to experience it at such an intimate, personal level. I'm sorry you had to go through that to experience it.
Yeah, it was hard.
But your brother's death in that whole process is not in vain. It has served
No, not at all.
hundreds of families because of that experience.
Remarkable.
Yes.
Remarkable, the conversations that it's led to with clients.
Whew.
And that's a wrap. No.
Right?
No.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
We're getting there. Well, that's an incredible story about family, because as we go deeper into the conversation, we then get into occupation. And occupation isn't necessarily
The job.
the job. It's what really lights you up every day, right? How are you out in the world creating? I mean, it's a financial conversation, because it's how are you out in the world creating your wealth? How are you out in the world creating more financial wealth? And sometimes the wealth comes financially. Sometimes the wealth comes through fulfillment and spiritual means. But what is it that drives you to show up every day? How do you show up? Now, for some people, it is a job. For some people, it's a business. The people we spend time with, it's the occupation is about creating and building. Sometimes it's a business. Sometimes it's a passion and a purpose. But going deep into what does that look like? What are the means with how you create your wealth?
And if we could roll back an episode into the 7 asset classes that we talk about, that's where we're kind of secretly getting into the superpower. Like the superpowers in terms of who you are and what gifts you provide to your community.
And how you give them, yeah.
That's really what the occupation is all about in a more conventional wording.
Absolutely. So how you go out and create that wealth, then we like to start talking about and uncovering how it is you use that wealth when it comes to recreation.
Also known as fun.
Fun, right. How do you go out and have fun in your life? How do you create experiential wealth in your life?
And we have learned through our experience that there's a lot of people that struggle with this.
Having fun.
Having fun.
Scheduling time for fun.
Having fun. Well, I mean, come on. If we're gonna go down the Gebhardt family storyboard, we've got to tell the story of, we had an alarm system in our house because we were broken into when I was like 9 or 10 years old.
Back when alarms were actually bells that went off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had one of those keyboards, and, the alarm would go off, and the alarm company would call, and what's your secret password, right? And you can have any word you want in the English language.
How many words in the English language?
A couple billion.
Right.
Right? You can have any word you want for your password to the security system.
Well, but this is the home of Wesley Gebhardt.
Yes, correct.
One of the greatest workaholics on planet Earth.
And therefore,
his four-letter word was?
Work.
Say it again.
W-O-R-K. Work.
Of course it
wasn't fun. Wasn't Syracuse basketball. It wasn't
orange.
It wasn't mom's veal spaghetti sauce. It was work, right? So I emphasize this because we come across a lot of people
who grew up like you did
that struggle with finding fun, with hobbies and passions and outlets that bring them joy. And we have to make it part of the conversation because the number of people that we've met, business owners and non-business owners, all the years we've been doing this, that have more than enough and they don't know what to do with it. They don't really know how to have fun with it from a recreation standpoint.
Sure. Why?
Because they've been so obsessed and so focused on the money.
Right.
And I need more money.
Right.
I need more money.
There's a paradox there. You and I have learned firsthand the paradox of investing in fun. When we invest in fun, we create the energy and the capacity and the experiential wealth to go out and create more wealth. It's the opposite.
I know, but I have to hoard it.
Right.
I have to hoard it and make sure I have enough. Because what if I don't?
Right.
Right? I love those conversations with clients.
Yeah.
And that leads us to the last letter in the acronym.
Money.
Money.
What I was grateful for today. What I'm still grateful for today. Although, contrary to popular belief, at least from my perspective, as interested as I am in understanding the money that you have and how it's structured, where it's invested, what types of financial assets you own besides your business, what really drives my curiosity is understanding your money story. What's your relationship with money? That's going to tell us so much more about your wealth creation capability, your wealth preservation appetite,
and your why.
And your why, exactly. I love it.
Why you are so driven.
What was money
about money?
What was money like in your family as a kid growing up? Did you have enough?
I mean, I appreciate that we had Kleenex in the studio today for my story, and there's a reason that we have Kleenex. Are we allowed to say Kleenex?
Well, isn't that what that thing's called?
No, they're tissues.
Oh, they're tissues, right. We got the fancy tissues.
We have Kleenex in our offices for this very reason. Because when you start to talk about money, so often it was weaponized in a bad way. No fault of the own of the parents.
Sure, control,
not enough, too much. It was. I mean, I've got some recent stories of how families that had too much, it was weaponized as well, and it's tragic.
The conversation around money is going to have multiple layers that starts with understanding the story behind money, your experience with money, how you're having money serve your life today so that we can start going into the next part of the planning process, starting to define how money's going to serve these other asset classes of your whole wealth. So as we go through unpacking your story and we understand how you formed your wealth, family, occupation, recreation, money, it sets now the foundation.
Yeah.
Right? We're now in a place where we really understand who you are and we can really begin shaping, defining, then shaping your story so that you can ultimately live your why. So this is where it starts in the financial planning process.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a few more episodes coming where we're going to get even deeper as far as what it looks like to define the story, what it looks like to shape the story, and then ultimately what it looks like to live your why. Thank you, brother, for your willingness to get raw and vulnerable in studio on mic today.
May I be an example for those that we meet in the future that we like to play at a different level.
And with that, my friend,
that's a wrap.
Thanks for joining us today on the Whole Wealth Journey. Are you ready to start planning for a future that's rich in wealth and well-being? Then click like and subscribe and make sure you don't miss a single episode of the Whole Wealth Journey.
So if we've struck a nerve with you today, where do people go?
You can find us at gebhardtwholewealth.com. That's GEBHARDT, wholewealth.com. We'll see you next time.
Jim Gebhardt is a registered representative of Integrity Alliance, LLC. Securities and investment advisory services offered through Integrity Alliance, LLC, member SIPC. Gebhardt Group Incorporated is not affiliated with Integrity Wealth. Jim Gebhardt and Matthew Grishman are investment advisor representatives of Gebhardt Group Incorporated, a registered investment advisor. The opinions in this podcast are for informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or investment recommendations. To determine which investment or financial advice may be appropriate for you, consult a financial advisor prior to investing. Any reference to market performance is based on historical information, and there is no expressed or implied guarantee of future performance. Opinions expressed on this program do not necessarily reflect those of Integrity Alliance, LLC. The topics discussed and opinions given are not intended to address the specific needs of any listener. Gebhardt Group Incorporated does not offer legal or tax advice. Listeners are encouraged to discuss their financial needs with the appropriate professional regarding your individual circumstance.